Hi guys, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make the very beautiful popcorn stitch, and I'm going to show you 3 different variations to choose depending on your project and your yarn, and depending on how puffy or not you want your stitch to be. So the first thing to do is grab your hook and grab your yarn. And if you're working this stitch in the flats, so using rows, then you will need to chain an even number of chains, for example 20. Then you'll go ahead and you'll place single crochet stitches across your chains, starting with the first single crochet stitch, placing it in the second loop from the hook, and that will give you an odd number of single crochets at the end of your piece. And the reason you need to do that is because your popcorn stitches, the rows with the popcorn stitches, need to start and end with a single crochet stitch. So I'll show you what I mean exactly now. So I've already made here my row of single crochet stitches. The first thing I'll do is I'll chain 1 and turn my piece. And then in my first stitch, I will place a single crochet, like so. I will then start with my popcorn stitch in that next stitch here. And the popcorn stitch is really composed of a series of double crochets placed in the same stitch. So most patterns will tell you to place either 4 or 5, sometimes 6 double crochets. So check your pattern. And of course, if you are creating your own design, do experiment a bit, see what you prefer the most and what works potentially better for the yarn that you are using. So for the purposes of this tutorial, I will place 4 double crochets in each stitch when I'm making the popcorn stitch. So yarn over, go through the stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2, and that's our first double crochet. I'll go ahead and place another 3 double crochets, and here we have a total of 4 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then, just as I've done, remove your hook from that loop and count back and go to the first double crochet you made. So not this, that's the third one, that's the second, that's the first one, and go through that top part of the stitch. And then pull your hook through that loop, tighten it a bit, and then pull the loop through the top of the double crochet, like so. And you can see it's already puffed. And in fact it's puffing towards us, which is slightly different to bubble stitches and some other of these texture stitches. And then to finish it off, you'll do a chain 1 on top just to secure it. And then the next stitch right next to it will be a single crochet. And there you have it, your first popcorn stitch. You can see it puffs up quite nicely and creates this little shape that really does resemble popcorn. So let's give this another go. Yarn over to start making your first of your 4 double crochets. That's our second double crochet that we're making here. Third and fourth. And if you want a more detailed tutorial on how to make the double crochet stitch, or indeed the single one, I'll link some of my tutorials below in the description box. So again, we've made 4. We're going to count backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's our first one. We're going to go up, put our hook through that loop, tighten it a bit, pull it through that original double crochet, chain 1, and then place a single crochet stitch in that next stitch. And that's all there is to the popcorn stitch. It's a great little stitch. It does resemble a lot the bubble one, which is one of my favorites. But I'm finding that the popcorn stitch is just as enjoyable. And if you're working in the round as well, it's great because you're always looking at your piece, and it's easy to do the popcorn stitch in this way as well. I think my yarn has split here, so let's pick that up properly. Chain 1. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish this row here, and then I'm going to show you what the next row will look like. So I'll meet you back in a second. So I am almost at the end of my row. You can see I've got 2 stitches left, and I've just done a single crochet. So I need to do a popcorn stitch and then my last single crochet, just like we said we would start and finish with a single crochet. So let's do our last popcorn stitch. And if you find that some of your popcorn stitches want to pop out on the wrong side of your piece, then just press them out and they'll be just fine. So there we go, our last double crochet. Put our hook on top of the first double crochet, pull that loop through, chain 1, and then let's do a single crochet in that last remaining stitch here, like so, and then chain 1 and turn. And this is how the back of your piece will look like, and if you're just starting it may also curl like mine is doing, that's absolutely fine. So for this row, for the second row, what we'll do is we'll simply place a single crochet stitch in each of our stitches. Now be careful because we did do that chain 1, so make sure you're not adding stitches. You just need 1 single crochet on top of your popcorn stitch and 1 single crochet in the single crochets that you've done in the previous row. So just be aware of that. Maybe count regularly if you're doing a bigger piece, so you don't get confused, and you'll be fine. And this is essentially the pattern repeat for the popcorn stitch. And of course, you know, on your next row you can do another row of popcorn stitches, or you can instead do another row of single crochet stitches, or another couple of rows of single crochet stitches, and then do another popcorn stitch to give a bit more space between your rows of popcorns. It's really up to you. It's very versatile and really a beautiful stitch to work with, and you can do a lot of great projects with it. So this is how your popcorn stitches should look like after you've completed 1 row of popcorn plus 1 row of single crochet after. And here what I've done is I've created a little swatch to show you how you can make your popcorn stitches puff out more depending on how many double crochets you put in little clusters and the individual stitches that you make your popcorn stitch in. So here in this first row you can see the effect is a lot more subtle. Here we only have 3 double crochets in each stitch to create that popcorn. So it's a lot more subtle, you know, it can be squashed up a bit easier. It's definitely not as puffy. In this one here, it's the 4 double crochets, and you can see a very sort of defined shape, which is great. And here is one with 5, which is even more pronounced, and definitely very, very much like popcorn. So if you're using a thinner yarn, maybe 5 or potentially even 6 is better. If you're using a thicker yarn, you may want to try with 4 and see how it looks. But whichever way you do your popcorn stitch, it will turn out lovely. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and happy crochet!